today I want to share with you a little Easter treat that I've made several times in the past that's always went over very well. It's simple and inexpensive enough to where you can make several for friends and co-workers or anybody that you would like to give a little Easter treat to, or even include them in your Easter baskets. You know, when you are creating your Easter baskets and you can buy chocolate bunnies and the peanut butter eggs and all that kind of stuff, you know, this is something that you can add to the basket that is one of a kind. You can't buy it in a store, and it just sends a message that you've taken the extra effort to make this basket or this treat for someone special. This recipe is simple enough where you can customize it to your taste. You can add or take away whatever, you know, your preference is. So I'm going to show you how I'm going to make mine, and then you can kind of go from there. So hopefully it'll inspire you in some way to make something similar. So let's go downstairs and we'll get started. And I got everything laid out on my kitchen counter. I just want to show you what we're going to make is Easter bark, and you will need a cookie sheet or jelly roll pan. It depends on what part of the country you call this, but I went ahead and measured mine. This is one I'd gotten for Christmas. It's a little bigger, 12 by 16 and a half. I believe that's the size I used. Now I will do a little squirt of cooking spray on the pan, just very lightly, just to make sure that my bark doesn't stick when I get ready to crack it up. Now, when you're making your bark, you want to pick about at least 3 things to add to it. And the 3 things that I chose this year is going to be just some pastel color marshmallows. And now the candy can be as expensive as you want it to be. I picked up $2 things because it really doesn't take a whole lot of candy once you kind of sprinkle it around on the melted chocolate. Now, I just picked up a $1 thing of Reese's, and then I didn't buy the M&ms because that was $3 and something, so I just found some little chocolate pastel colors that will, you know, give the same effect as the pastel M&ms that's a third of the price. And this is, you know, a half a cup of this and a half a cup of this is certainly plenty. Now I can even crunch these up a little bit and make them go even a little further. Now I did buy a brick of the almond bark. At my store, I actually bought this at Walmart. They sell this at any baking aisle. You can also buy any kind of candy coating. You know, at Walmart in the cake decorating section, they sell the little disc that you can melt, but this is, you get more and it's cheaper if you'll just go buy the brick of almond bark. Now, I'm probably going to put a few drops of food coloring in mine to turn mine mint green. You can certainly keep it white. It's really pretty white, but the food coloring doesn't, it just tints it just a little bit to give it even more of an Easter look. Now, as long as you have about 3 things to add to it, it will be cute. Now, I also pulled some colored sugars that I had. You could sprinkle on there just to fill in, maybe if you've got a blank spot. I've got some actual candy sprinkles and colored sugar. That's completely optional. And this is just some ideas. You know, some people like sweet and salty. You could add crunched up pretzels and things like that. Even cereal. You know, this happens to be some Kellogg's Cinnamon Jacks. They kind of look like flowers, craisins, whatever your taste, you know, may be. So, you know, everybody's different. You could do strictly a peanut pretzel one or whatever, but it really makes it look Eastery when you do use some pastel colors. So what I'm going to do now is break this brick up and melt it in the microwave for every 20 seconds until I get it just a smooth melted chocolate. You know, the package says to do a double boiler, but that's really not necessary. If you will stop it every 20 seconds and stir it, it will not burn, and it takes a couple minutes or more to get this all melted. So when I come back to you, I'm gonna have this melted and put a couple drops of green food coloring in it. Okay, I want to show you after about 3 minutes and 30-second intervals, I calling it chocolate. It's actually just vanilla candy coating, but it is perfectly smooth, and I put 3 drops of green food coloring in there. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to just pour it into on my cookie sheet. And I've got time to work with it because it takes a few minutes for it to actually harden up. Let me get a spatula so I can clean my bowl really good. I want all my candy coating. Now I'm just going to smear it out. It's going to be fairly thin. Get it as spread out as you can. Because once you get it spread out, you really can't spread it anymore once you get your candies on there. That's good enough. All right, so now what I'm going to do is just distribute it so that every part of my pan will be covered with some of the goodies. Now with the marshmallows, you will have to probably press down into the bark a little bit. Ooh, we got one flying across the kitchen. Now I could have broken those little candy circles up a little bit. It's just looking really festive, and so the colored sugars will fill in. I've got a 3- and a 5-year-old that are waiting for this stuff to be finished. So just kind of take your hand and press it into the chocolate. Now here I'm going to take my candy sprinkles, and just that really helps fill in the blank spots. I got just enough to finish this. It's looking Eastery. I'm going to give you some as soon as Mimi gets done with it, okay? Okay. Okay, we're going to let that Easter bark set up for a good 2 hours, or just put it in the fridge if you want to speed it up. But it will harden on its own in, just sitting on your stove or your counter. But just let it harden up really good for a couple hours, and then we'll break it up. Okay, it's been about an hour, and I went and just stuck it in the fridge just to hurry the process up. But let me show you that by putting the cooking spray on the pan, just a very thin coat, I can actually lift this up as a whole sheet. And so now what I want to do is just break it up into a little bit bigger than bite-sized pieces. And now I want to just show you how I'm going to package it up and give it to friends or put in baskets. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and stop here in my bagging up process, but the reason why I wanted to bag up most of it, just so I could show you how many treats you would actually get out of one batch. Right now I have 9 bags bagged up, and I really wasn't too conservative. I mean, I gave everyone 6 to 8 bite-sized pieces. I kind of used my hand as my rule of thumb about how many, I would put in a bag. Now I still have enough to make 2 or 3 more treat bags. If you use the same size pan as I did, it would be safe to say you would easily get 10 to 12 treat bags out of this. And between the almond bark and the candies and things, I did spend $6. That's average about 50 cents for a one-of-a-kind, just a special treat that they would not get otherwise. Now, this was just an idea. I put a little tag on there. This just happens to be a little Easter stamp I had. This is my least favorite brand of stamps, but it's a Studio G that just says "Have a Tweet Easter." This would be super cute. Some kind of Easter tag, or you could just make some little tag that did say Easter bark. Now let me show you how I bagged them up. Now of course they do have the clear cellophane bags available, or the Easter treat bags. What I tend to do is I always keep these little inexpensive sandwich bags on hand at all times. Some brands call them pleated and some call them fold over. Like this is a Ziploc. These don't work too well because they're just not long enough. And these fold over kind are actually a good inch or more longer. So when I do cut this little flap loose, it just gives me more of a top for my treat bag. So, for 150 little bags for, $1 are a lot cheaper than those cellophane treat bags you can get in the party section. So it's just an idea. If you have, this is always a good alternative. I hope you will take this idea and make it your own, customize your flavors or however you want to do it. And this would just be a super cute idea for friends and family. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.